Hey, thanks for joining us on today's Renewed Minds. This edition is brought to you by the Blessing Box. It's a free pantry which contains non-perishable food items and hygiene products for people in need. The box is located on the north side of Church on Main. Contact Church on Main at office@churchonmain.church for more details. You know, our podcasts we're always discussing challenges and opportunities that we all face, no matter what season of life we're in. Each episode will offer some practical tips we've learned along the way and share how love and grace can help each of us when we're trying to maintain hope. Today in the studio, it's me, Steve, the director, and also Tanya Dinkle, owner and coach of Life in Action. Today's topic is balanced beginnings, embracing physical, emotional, and spiritual growth. You know, we're going to explore a powerful journey that connects everybody in every way we are. It's the path to physical and emotional and spiritual growth. You know, life's a constant evolution, and embracing growth in all of its forms can transform the way we experience ourselves and the world around us. Whether you're striving for better health, deeper emotional connections, or a stronger sense of purpose, this episode is all about helping you align with your fullest potential. So let's dive in, uncover some practices and insights and inspirations so you can thrive in mind, body, and soul.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It is 2025. I kind of can't believe it that we're here.
It's I have plans for a good year this year, even better than last year.
Me
Last
too.
year was a great year.
Yeah.
I think this one will be a good one too. So.
Any particular things you want to share? Are you making resolutions?
Resolutions I don't like because we're going to talk about a specific day I think what I really want to do is just enjoy my grandkids more, maybe travel some more,
Love that.
maybe get, I have numerous hobbies I put my fingers into. So just, get more involved in fun things. I'm already well involved in church, but there's some other fun things to do more bike riding, more, fun stuff. So.
Involved in church is an understatement for you.
Well, yeah, it is.
Definitely an understatement for you. So it doesn't sound like you do much on resolutions.
No, not a big resolution guy because I know that it could set me up for failure.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be a success-based person.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I haven't done quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, resolutions for a long time. But I did start doing, at the suggestion of a friend years ago, a word for the year. And some people do a couple of words for the year, right?
That's
They've
good.
learned that. My word for this year is joy.
Oh, nice.
And it's funny because it started revealing itself to me at the end of 2024. And then I got a gift from a dear friend, and it was a Christmas ornament that had joy written on it. But on the card, she defined joy.
Oh, wow.
Which I'd never seen before. Have you ever heard of a definition for joy?
I have heard of conversations about what's the difference between joy and happiness, but I don't think I've seen a definition.
Okay, so here you go. Joy is Jesus, others, yourself.
Oh, nice. I like it. That's
right?
great.
And I think it's a great order for, kicking off some new things. And it helps us avoid failure, right? That you were talking about. So we just had a big, the big annual day on the calendar. If our listeners are not aware, it's actually a thing.
Actually a day, yes.
It's actually called Quitter's Day.
It's crazy, isn't it?
January 10th. So it was last Friday.
That's a short time between a resolution of January 1st and January 10th. That's right. I don't know what that says, but it's nothing good.
Right. It says change is really hard and people don't want us to go there, right? So for those of you that may not be following, the Quitter's Day is when people quit doing the resolutions that they said they were going to do for the new year, and the story is that's when the gyms clear out. So if you have not joined a gym yet and want to do that for 2025, maybe you start after.
Right, absolutely.
Now that we're past the 10th, you've passed that Quitter's Day. But yeah, it doesn't say much for our stamina and change, does it?
Does it? No.
So yeah, I mean, the idea of doing something new, whether it is a resolution or if it's a new thought process or just a commitment, and doing starting something new is hard.
Starting something new is really hard. Plus, you have to decide whether you're starting something more. Because I think a lot of us have an ability to say, I want to do this, but do you have time to do that? Are you building time? Do you need to drop something else?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. I just made that decision recently, and I said, I'm going to change and prioritize a little bit differently. And I'm not going to do this for a bit so that I can do some of these other things a little more, maybe.
Right. A little more focused.
A little more focused. It's a good word.
Pay more attention to it.
Good
right?
word. Yeah. So we do have to figure out what we're gonna spend our time and energy doing. What brings us joy, what brings us success, whatever it is that we're looking to kind of build out for the new year. But when you start thinking about some of these goals or ideas, things that we want to do are so big. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk today about, how we can kind of drill that down, but really focusing on the size of things and making things attainable are important.
And some of us have some people out there, including me, we have some large things that we want to get done and to attain. Mm-hmm. And some of these do require a lot more focus, and you really have to say, am I going to be fully committed to it or not? Am I doing it halfway, all the way? You really have to decide how big
small
that
steps.
is. Right.
Very few of the big things that we can accomplish, whether it is I want to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, or I want to run a marathon and I've never run a day in my life, or, these are big goals. Mm-hmm. You don't do any of those things first time out.
Right. You don't.
Yeah, it is a lot of small choices that you make consistently on a regular basis to be able to meet those. So we're gonna, and the things that we're gonna talk about today, we're gonna focus on how to make sure that our goals aren't too big, and making sure they're not too vague. We can put some steps around them so we don't get overwhelmed, and then just kind of sticking with it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I always love the new year starting with a new calendar.
Yeah, it is fun, clean. Right? I know it.
Yeah. And then it gets all messy pretty quickly. So, all right. So size of goals.
They matter.
They do.
They matter huge. To get your goal set, no matter how big it is, you may say, well, what's attainable in the period of time I want it? Some of us may want it to take a year, some or 6 months. It all depends. Are you trying to get ready for a marathon in 3 months? Do you want the beach body look for the summer? You have to figure out the time frame of what big is,
and be realistic with that and willing to adjust that. So this is where your network of people, of your experts, your friends who have done these types of things before can really help you. So let's take the marathon thing, for example. I would not know where to start other than Google on a training plan for a marathon. Right? I would not have any idea where to start. But there are people out there who do this. There are trainers, professional trainers, who teach people, coach people on how to do this and do it well, do it safely, and make sure that you're hitting your target so that you can complete that run in the time frame that you have set for yourself, right? And if it's an unrealistic time frame, like I'm going to complete a marathon in 45 minutes, unrealistic for most people, probably. That's a lot of running in a very short period of time. So help you reset those expectations of yourself, right? Because one of the easiest way to feel defeated is to have an unrealistic expectation that then you hold yourself to and you fail.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you bring up a point of looking at YouTube or other resources. Be careful when you're looking at resources because some of these people aren't real experts. They are social media personalities influencers. So be very careful. Read lots of, if you're going to do it on your own without finding a real professional who can help you, like a trainer, which is probably the way I would probably recommend you go, and do a lot of research before you dive in there.
And just be prepared. Like, there's an investment here. Right? There's an investment in your time. There's an investment certainly in your energy, but there's also a financial investment too. If you're looking to reach out to someone who has the expertise that you are needing to tap into, please don't ask them to do that for free.
Right.
This is how they provide for their families, right? This is how they put food on their table, is by helping people achieve their goals. They need to be compensated for that. So, on behalf of other coaches who who provide for their families
Right.
this way. There's just a little tip. Just they should be compensated for the knowledge that they have
Absolutely.
and the expertise that they're bringing to the conversation. So have you ever heard the phrase, Steve, how do you eat an elephant?
Yes.
I've had people give me some of the strangest looks, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard that expression. The answer, if you don't know, is one bite at a time. Right. And that's a great way to break down goals. And we're going to talk about that throughout the session today. Of it's taking a big goal and putting it into smaller, more manageable, bite-sized chunks, if you will, to be able to get through the bigger thing. So if we're going to stick on this marathon thing for some reason. I have no idea why I'm on a marathon topic, but you don't start with running 26 miles. Right. You start with maybe doing a mile or a 5K, depending on, what your current baseline is. If you're, maybe you've never run before and you want to run a marathon in 2025, great. Maybe you start with a couch to 5K type of program, and it just starts you with very small, attainable, schedulable goals.
Right. I find that I'm a big biker, so I find that after I haven't been biking for a while, I have to go back to say, even though in the summer I was doing like 20, 30, 40-mile bike rides, I got to start back with the mile again just to see where I am. Because if you haven't been doing it, where are you right now? You have to find out where you are before you start that.
Glad you bring that up, because that really is something that we can all fight through any time of year with any goal. I actually just found it yesterday. So we were talking before we started recording that, this is cold and flu season. Everybody's got something. My husband and I got sick right after Christmas. We're sick through the new year. Finally getting back to normal. We actually got back to the gym yesterday for the first time since before Christmas. And I did better than I thought I would do, but I also noticed that I was not going full on weights that I had done right before Christmas, not back to where I was at the very beginning, but I did step back just a bit to say, okay, I know I'm not where I was when I first started going to the gym, but I'm also not where I was before Christmas. I haven't built all my strength back yet. And I need to kind of step back just a bit and build this back up to where I need to be. So, and that's okay.
That's okay.
It's you've got to give your body time to readjust, whether it's because you're out of practice or you're overcoming an illness or whatever the case may be. Everybody's situation's a little bit different, but just be patient with yourself.
Yeah, you have to be realistic in any goal you're setting to say, where am I right now? Whether you're dealing with finances, you need to go find all the pieces of your finance.
Right.
If you want to change the way you're eating, you got to go, what are you eating now? You seriously make a list of what you're eating now and how you need to change, go forward. So you got to find a starting point before you even get going.
Yeah, exactly. So that you can figure out what to eliminate to be able to feel better. So there's another thing that is important here too. So size, balance.
Balance.
Why is balance important?
Balance is, you can get overwhelmed if you go too much balance. I'm an older person, so balance is always now a struggle more than it was when I was younger. So you really have to find the method to keep you going day after day after day without being overwhelmed by the steps that you want to take to get to your goal. So you have to really stay in a lane. You really have to keep yourself on a good momentum instead of setting up a roadblock for yourself or just to get over. If there's a roadblock, at least you know where it is and how to step over it without having a problem.
Right.
So balance is way important.
And there's no rules here. Like, this is something that we define for ourselves.
Yeah, none.
Right? Which is beautiful, guys. That's the good news. There are no hard and fast rules here. I adopted the term years ago, intentional imbalance, because there's this perspective out there, has been for a long time, that you have to be balanced in life. And if you think about, I think about I don't know why I'm into, maybe it's first of the year, this healthy stuff. My brain's in the gym, but I'm thinking about the Bosu ball. It's flat on one side, it's like a circle that was cut in half for those of you that have never seen this. So it's round on one side and then it's flat on the other, and you use it for balance exercises, right? You use lots of different ways. It's not my favorite piece of equipment, but it can challenge you in some very good ways. But it's hard to get perfect balance on one of those. Even when you stand right in the middle of it. Whether you're flat side down or curve side down, you're still going to wobble a bit, right? And sometimes even when you're on 2 feet, you're still going to wobble a little bit, depending on just how your day is going. But it's really hard to get perfect balance. What I've learned over the years is when I can set the boundaries for myself, like you were just talking about, of saying, I'm going to today, in this moment, I'm going to let this thing win. But I know that in order of letting this thing win, this other thing has to not win today.
Right.
So for me, for a lot of years, that was work versus home, right? And I think a lot of us struggle with that, right? Working parents, you've got kids with competing schedules and priorities, and they still need to go to school, and we've got snow days, and all of this. There's a lot going on. Church commitments and other committees and volunteer things. There's so many things that we are all committed to. What's going to win today in this moment? And what am I going to say is not going to win today, but it's going to win tomorrow? And the thing that won today is not going to win tomorrow.
Right.
And that can change. It can change hour by hour. It can certainly change day by day.
Right. Well, balance is, balance, a good definition of balance is being flexible enough to stay in balance. And so you've got to make those choices, like you're saying, is what am I balancing on today? What is my focus today versus what is my focus tomorrow? Some of those things you want to deal with may have to find their place in a couple days later, a couple hours later than when you originally planned. So being flexible without getting irritated is absolutely important in balance.
Yeah, and sometimes it's seasonal. I think that's really where it gets hard with a lot of us, because we want that. We've been trained. I mean, we've got these wonderful computer devices now in our phone that Google gives us. Even if it's not an actual answer, it's an AI answer. It's an assumed answer that is created with artificial intelligence.
By the way, this podcast is not AI.
That's right. This podcast is not AI. But this is instant answer in the palm of your hand in milliseconds. Like, we've been taught to expect that. And that's just not how life works. Sometimes you do have to delay for hours, days, weeks, months to be able to get through a season of life, to be able to get to the next thing that you're wanting to do. And that's hard.
It is hard. It's really hard. I think everybody loves instant gratification, since the dawn of newer technology. And so it is important to realize there is a time for everything under the sun, and it'll get there.
Well, the Bible says there is a time for every season, right? There's in everything its own time. So let's talk about the steps to being balanced. And Steve, you've talked about this a little bit, just our own personal well-being. And, that really does need to be at the forefront, because it's kind of like use this analogy with a friend who's never flown before. And I use the oxygen mask dropping, right? Of course, that only means something if you've ever flown. So if you've never flown, you get this safety debriefing before at the beginning of each of your flights, which says, if in the unexpected event of a loss of cabin pressure, then your oxygen mask will drop from the ceiling. Put yours on first.
Yes, but take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself first, even if you've got a small child next to you, which doesn't feel like the right thing to do in those situations. But you can't help other people if you're not helping yourself first. So you've got to this is the same type of idea. Got to help yourself first to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So, and
it's not selfish either. It's really important that if you're, no matter what, if you're single, whether you're in a family, whether you're an employee, you've got to be healthy, and you have to be healthy for yourself to help anybody else around you.
Right. So what does that mean? So mindfulness, journaling. We've talked about journaling on this show before. Meditation, prayer. There's lots of different ways that you can
eat well. I know Diane was on here a few podcasts ago about sleep and how important it is to be sure you get sleep.
It is. And you sleep better if you're eating better, if you are meditating, if you are exercising, if you are, doing all these things for your whole body, whole health. It is mental, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's all of the things.
Yeah, don't skip on, even if you're people who love grounding, which I love, walking barefoot when I can. You got to keep yourself attached to the reality around you. Nature is there for a reason. You've got to breathe fresh air.
Yep.
You've got to get the sunshine. You've got to be out there doing all that.
So good for you. So good for you. Relationships. Now, this can be a double-edged sword.
Yes, it can.
The relationships can be really, really helpful. We were just talking, again, before the recording, we were talking about just some future things that we may want to chat about. And one of the things we talked about was building relationship, a community, and how healthy that can be. I think the caveat to that is if it's a healthy relationship that you're building, right? So boundaries, we've talked about boundary setting before. So if you need to set some healthy boundaries for family, for friends, coworkers, bosses, whatever the case may be, you absolutely should feel empowered to do that.
Absolutely. And, relationship brings up in my mind, what you're dealing with now in your relationship, whether it's, you and a partner or you and a family members. This is a good time to go, let's reevaluate this relationship and how can we improve it? Because improving your relationships in your life goes a long way for your mental health and the people around you.
And I'll take that just a little bit further to say, if in having that conversation, I completely agree with you, having that open dialogue and addressing a situation with the person to say, look, this is a challenge I'd like to work with you to overcome because this is on both of us. If that person is not interested in engaging in that conversation with you, that is their choice.
Right.
So it's not that they haven't made a choice and they haven't come around to your way of thinking. Understand that they have made a choice in that moment and their choice is different than yours, and that's okay.
And that is okay. Absolutely.
So that just means that you would then need to adjust your approach.
Right.
And that might mean that you have a season of no contact, or you decide to do something different with that relationship, and that's okay.
It is okay. Could be difficult depending on who that relationship is with, but yes,
it could.
It's a decision that you have to honor their decision.
Yes,
and not struggle. You may internally struggle with it, but you can't struggle with them about it.
Right. Yep. We all are making our own choices every single day. Prioritize meaningful connections over social obligations. This has cracked me up for years. People talk about, I've got so many friends on whatever social media. Do you really? How many of these people do you actually know? How many do you have actual connection with? And it's possible to lose connection with people over time and then regain that connection, which is such a blessing. I love it when those things happen. But just because you are quote unquote connected with someone on social media does not mean that you are connected with those people in life.
Right. To me, it's just keeping up with them, just watching what's going on with their life. But the real connection means that you need to spend some communication time with them. Or if you need to spend some one-on-one time with them on a phone, in person. Yeah, connections are not the social media. It really isn't.
Yeah, I know someone years ago who said he defined it as friends versus acquaintances.
There you go.
And I remember then in my early 20s going, wow, that feels kind of harsh, but it's actually really true. Like if you actually have people who are your friends that you are truly connected with, you have relationship with these people, you are invested emotionally with these people versus the people who just you follow on Facebook and see what's going on in their life. Right. Nothing wrong with that. It's just different.
Right.
And acknowledging that it's different is important. The other thing here is, too, social obligations you can say no to.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
It is.
To do that. And sometimes it feels nice.
It does.
To do that.
It does.
Right?
And it's good for your mental health. It may not fit into your daily routine, your schedule of the day. Yeah. Saying no is very much a healthy thing to realize that you have that ability and do it once in a while.
It's an empowering word, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you are an introvert by nature, this might be something that you relate to. If you're not, then listen up, because extroverts really can struggle with that. There are people who just can only do so much social, and then they need to withdraw and recharge.
Yes.
And that looks different for everybody that's in that situation. They get they get energy off of certain things, but then there are other things that are really draining. So just be aware of whatever your drain is, and we all have them, whether we're introverted or extroverted, we all have drains. Be aware of what yours are, and make sure that you're not over obligating.
And be polite when you say no. It's important that you realize how to do that well, and to let them know, you're struggling with something and you prefer not to do it this time. Just don't leave people hanging with the word no.
Well, and so honestly, sometimes the word no is okay. Sometimes that's enough. Yeah. What you don't need to do is feel that you need to justify your decision and have that approved.
Right. There you go.
By the other person. Yep. So we talked a few minutes ago about, in relationship, if you're struggling in a relationship with someone and they are not in a place where they want to work on that with you, that is their choice. If you are in a place where you are just not wanting to socialize that is your choice.
Right.
And you absolutely have the right to make that choice. I would say be kind in saying no. Maybe it's a no, thank you.
Right. Sure.
Not now, but let's find another time. If it's truly a situation where you feel that it is not a healthy interaction for you to have at all, then own that and say, I just am not in a season of my life where I want to invest here. So, I wish you all the best, but I'm going to go do my thing over here.
Right.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
It's totally fine.
Do it.
So another area where we can focus is our career and personal growth. This is kind of like eating the elephant. First of all, looking at, small things. You're not going to jump from entry level to senior director in most organizations overnight. If you are, there might be a red flag there. So I would say talk to a career coach and, get some guidance on that. But, setting smart goals. And SMART actually means something. It's actually an acronym.
It really is cool.
So SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when you are setting goals, and honestly, this acronym can be used for any type of goal. This is not just a career goal. We hear a lot of it in business, especially when you're talking about annual performance types of goals, right? Like exactly. I want to grow in this way, or I want to complete this project this year. You create what are called SMART goals. So specific means you are really being clear on exactly what you're going to be working on. Right. Measurable is it's not subjective. It is very clear. The success is going to be X. Right. And it's going to be very clear that is success. It has to be achievable, meaning by you.
Right.
So your goal shouldn't be, the success or failure of your goal shouldn't be dependent completely on someone else.
Exactly.
So if you are in an entry level role and you are saying that you're going to grow the company by 10%, that's probably not something that you specifically by yourself can impact,
exactly.
Right? So you want to be very careful with that. Relevant to the work that you're doing, right? Relevant to you and your career growth. And again, you can get some good insight into what that might be from a leader that you trust. Career coaches can also help put that in perspective for you. And then time bound. This is the one that actually most people struggle with, is putting a time frame on it, and being specific enough, but not too generous. So over the 25 years of doing HR, I cannot tell you how many performance goals I've seen with a completion date of 12/31 of that year.
Oh my.
Very common. But be realistic. Like if this is a thing, like go back to our marathon example from the very beginning. If you know that you're going to run a marathon in August, well, first of all, prayers with you, because, oh my gosh, there's very few places in our country that are not crazy hot in August. I hope it's an early morning race. But then you're going to have completed that goal in August. You don't need till December to complete that goal, right?
Absolutely.
So if you've got 8 months to complete that goal, then what do your steps need to be, your pieces of the elephant, between now and August to be able to hit that?
And SMART goals are important because there's an old acronym out there that says, jobs usually take the length of time that you give it the end date. So you have to be very realistic about the time boundness of this and the achievability of it. So don't say, I'll do it by the end of the year, when you probably could finish it in 3 months.
Absolutely. So and then move on to something else.
Be honest. And then you have another goal that you can work on.
Exactly. Or a little free time, which is also not a bad thing.
That's good.
The other thing that having this plan around your goals can do. It helps you identify, we talked about this earlier, saying the word no.
Yes.
And when to do that. It actually gives you this weird kind of mental permission
right.
to say, oh, wait, this doesn't fit into what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to say no, right. I'm not going to do that. And that can be to social obligations. It can be to additional goals. It could be to any number of different things.
Right. Absolutely.
It can fit anywhere.
Yeah, don't hesitate to use that word because more people need to use it. Because I think in reality, some people say yes, and then they don't put their whole entity into the project or event or whatever they're doing, and it doesn't just come out the best way it could. So don't hesitate to say it's not for me.
And when you commit to something, somebody is counting on you.
Right.
To do that. And to your point, like if you're not going to give it your all that you have available, and your all of what you have available can change from season to season in your life. And if that means you need to pull out for a bit and go back in, that's totally fine.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's owning where you are. And then the last thing, this is probably my favorite, but it's also the thing that as humans we are worst at. Celebrating our successes.
Oh, man, isn't that the truth? We don't pat ourselves on the back enough to say, look what I just did. This is really neat.
And if you're doing it along the way, right, you complete the marathon in August, but oh my gosh, how many milestones did you hit in the 8 months leading up to that or 7 months leading up to that?
What did you learn? What did you accomplish? And I find this real important to celebrate your own success yourself.
Yes.
Is don't necessarily look for outside people to pat you on the back, because a lot of this is what I accomplished because I put my mind to it and got it done.
Right.
You might have people help you, but they may not pat you on the back, so don't get upset when they don't.
Right. Yeah. You don't need the external validation.
Right.
You can be your own validation. And to be honest, you are probably a better source of that validation than others because you know what you sacrificed to get there.
Absolutely.
You know that you didn't eat the pint of ice cream because you knew that your diet plan needed to be different so that you could actually fuel your body to run the extra, 13 miles that you had to run that week or whatever the case may be, right?
Took the extra 2 or 3 hours to study for that certification or exam that you didn't have to, but you felt like you wanted to. Exactly. Yeah, those successes are immeasurable to your well-being, just to pat yourself on the back.
Exactly. Well, this has been fun, kind of thinking about the new year
and
reframing.
Start a new year and re-energize yourself and get going. Right?
Yeah, so hopefully this has been helpful for you guys to just kind of maybe frame up the year a little bit differently. So, and remember, we're already past Quitter's Day.
Right.
So
you can't
start now,
right?
You're good, right? It is a day by day choice. And we make choices every day to engage or not engage in, probably hundreds of things, right? So it is your choice, and you are empowered to make whatever choice you need to make for you for that day. But just know that whatever season you're in, whatever space you're in for that hour or that day, that doesn't define you. It doesn't define your whole year. That's that moment, and it will pass. They all do.
They all do. Right. Life is a constantly changing. You just adapt to it and keep on going.
Learn something from it and keep going. So, all right. Well, Steve, it has been fun sharing the mic with you today.
It has been fun, even though our pastor's under the weather. But and he'll be back. So,
we're praying that he gets some balanced beginning into his health for this year, and can rebound and be with us next week. So, but in the meantime, we thank you all for today. Thank you for investing your time in our messages. We are so grateful for you. If you found today's episode to be helpful, please like and subscribe to this podcast and share it with others. If you would like to join in the conversation, we would love to hear from you. Please connect with Tommy or me. We would love to hear from you by email. The email is renewedminds@churchonmain.church. And I think, Steve, we also now have an Instagram page as well.
Working on that. Let me see. I have that somewhere, but look for Renewed Minds on Instagram, and you'll find it.
Yeah, so follow us there, and we'll be posting some stuff there as we get that kind of up and going. Yep. We hope that you make it a great day and approach each and every day with a renewed mind.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
Come back and see us. Thanks. Hopefully this brings a renewed perspective to the challenges and opportunities you're facing today. What steps are you going to be taking to show love and grace to everyone? If you have any questions or comments about our podcast, please send an email to renewedminds@churchonmain.church. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. Listen next week for the next Renewed Minds.